మంటర్ కూడా రాలేదు ఈ రోజుకి చాలా మంది.
Welcome to the Dynamic Learning Hub of XLR and
అది నేను బ్యాంక్ రావాల్సింది అందరూ.
a prime spot conveniently located just a 5-minute walk from LIC Andheri Metro. In our journey of over a decade, we have proudly trained over 2 lakh students. We've also been recognized by Deloitte, Silicon India, and other accreditation bodies. Students learning like never before in our spacious and comfortable classrooms. With high-definition projectors and state-of-the-art acoustics in place, we ensure effective learning even to the farthest point in the room. The hybrid mode is a game changer as you can enjoy the benefits of a light classroom from the comfort of your home. Even if you happen to miss any classroom session, you can still attend the same session. Wanna get started? Join us for a demo or career chat over a cup of coffee at our Andheri branch. XLR. We don't just train, we build careers.
The collaboration with XLR was an excellent one. We conducted over 3 days. The workshop was almost 12 hours long in total. Mr. Karthik, who was an amazing trainer, helped the students understand the concepts deeply. The students will be able to apply these concepts in their career as well as their daily lives.
Mr. Karthik was an excellent person. He explained in a very detailed manner on how to give great insights using very complex data.
You applied for an internship, but your resume is forgotten. They are reviewing it for 2 months.
So it was a machine learning workshop. We learned a lot from this work, and it was a great experience. It was very helpful. We had a hands-on experience, and it was
Goated.
this was a great experience. Absolutely love it. If XLR would come again to our campus and conduct an event like this.
Very good beginning. Ang tangon.
It was a great course, and it started from basics and took me to a great extent.
The experience of the workshop was really nice. The feedback from all the students was positive. They understood the concept. The workshop was practical based with some questions. The experience with XLR was very smooth. They helped us in conducting the workshop right from the booking of the vendor and deciding the course till the distribution of certificate. Overall, this workshop was a success during our technical class Atmos, and I thank XLR for being a part of it.
Good
తినడానికి బాగోవాలండి ఎందుకు అడుగు నుంచి రావడానికి రెండో చెప్పి ఎందుకు అడుగు నుంచి बैठा हूँ मैं सामने होके की तरह टाइम से क्वेश्चन है मैथ के एकदम टाइट अचानक से कहीं
Good evening, ma'am. I hope you all doing well. We will start the session. Good evening, Murli sir.
Yeah, very good evening, Sushmita. So
Yeah.
let's start the session today.
Yeah, sure, sir. You can start.
So good evening, everyone. So today's topic, I will discuss about Git and GitHub. So I will start with the scenario. So imagine like you're writing a code for your project, like you make a lot of changes, and suddenly you think, I want to go back to that code and do that changes, but you can't. So you cannot go to the previous version and work on it because you have lost the older version. So that's where the Git is very useful in the versioning control. So in the next scenario, so you're working on the same file with a friend. So you both make changes and suddenly your file clashes. So one person overwrites something and the other added a new idea. Now the file is messed up. So to avoid those conflicts and have a collaborative code in the central repository, we use Git and GitHub. So let me share my screen. So what exactly is Git? Like Git is a distributed version control system. Git is a distributed version control system. So that helps the developers track and manage the changes to their code over time. So it will help the developers to track and manage the changes in the code. So over the time. So where it is used mainly, so it is used mainly in software development industry. So Git helps us to track the changes. So where we track in our files, and it helps us to collaborate with multiple developers. So what Git exactly does is it tracks changes in the files, like usually the code of the application. So and allows and it will helps us to revert to the previous version. Like if you want the previous version to work on, it helps us to get back. And it has a very good collaborative with developers with overwriting work. So what Git? So Git is a software. So Git is a piece of software. So when we discuss about GitHub, so on that software, the wrapper is added. So that's where the GitHub is. Wrapper is added on top of it. So many companies have developed their own repository, like has AWS Code Commit as a repository, Azure as Azure Repos, and Atlassian as Bitbucket, and GitLab is open source, and GitHub is also open source. So here Git is installed on the local system, and GitHub is a remote repository. So let us discuss about the architecture of Git. So we have working directory. We have staging directory, staging or indexing. We have a local repo. And finally, we have remote repo, that is GitHub. So working directory is installed on the local system. So this is the place where the project folder is located. To create a working directory, we have a command called git init. It initializes a working directory in the folder. Then after initializing the working directory, so we are adding git add to stage the files, and finally git commit. And finally git push origin main. So the developer writes a code in the working directory. So then he adds to the staging or indexing directory. So this staging and indexing is invisible. It cannot be seen. So he want to store in his local repository. Then he commits using the commit message. And if you want to push to the remote repository, he uses git push origin main. So let me give an example. A person writes a letter So he first initializes, then he adds, into the envelope. So before committing means like he adds name, address as a commit message, and where in commit it creates a unique ID. Unique commit ID. So then finally pushes to the remote repository for the letter to deliver. So that's how it works in the actual process. Staging means the waiting area. So then we will discuss about types of Git softwares. Firstly, we have Git command line tool. It's a core Git, we call it as. So in this, we will install the basic tools on my computer like Git Bash for Windows, Terminal plus Git for Mac OS. Here we use Git Bash. And the second type is Git GUI, is a graphical user interface. So in this, we use GitHub Desktop. And Git Cadence is a cool interface. It's good for developers and teams. And we have source tree. So these are the GUI based interface, and Git Bash is a command line interface. And the next is Git hosting platform. See, we have GitHub, we have GitLab, we have Bitbucket, we have Azure repos, So this is a cloud-based service like to store and collaborate on the Git repositories. We call it as a remote repos. And finally, we have integrated Git tools, IDE. Firstly, we have VS Code. The second one is IntelliJ. And the next one is Eclipse. So these are the integrated Git tools. So they are built right. See, this is a code editor. So we can use Git without leaving the code environment. So that's the useful case. So let's discuss about version control software. So it is a tool that helps you track, save, and compare and revert changes made to files over time. Mainly to track, to save, to compare, and to revert the changes made on files. So we have discussed types of Git software. Firstly, Git command line tool like we have Git Bash and Git GUI interface like GitHub Desktop, Git Kraken, Source Tree as well. And thirdly, we have Git hosting platform that is a remote GitHub repository. Like GitHub, we have GitLab, we have Bitbucket, we have Azure Repos, we have. And fourthly, we have integrated Git tools like VS Code, IntelliJ, and Eclipse. So this is integrated with a code editor tool. The next thing is version control software. So it's to track, to save, and to compare and to revert the changes made on files. It is very useful. For example, so let me create a file, new file.txt, like recipe.txt I can create. So in the day one, in recipe file, I'm gonna add lemon plus water on the day one. So I'm gonna add in the recipe.txt file, and I save changes by using these commands. Firstly, I'm going to git init, then firstly I'm going to git init where it initializes the working directory in that recipe.txt file. Then I'm going to add the file to the staging area. Then committing with the commit message, adding version 1, like commit message has added basic recipe. So on the day 2, in recipe file, I'm gonna add sugar on that. Lemon plus sugar plus water. What I've added? Sugar extra. So I'm gonna commit changes. First, I'm going to add it to the staging area. Then committing the file with the commit message as added sugar. So it will create a version. So let me mention version 2. The day 3, in the recipe file, I'm going to add mint also. Mint plus lemon plus sugar plus water. Then adding to the staging area. Then committing with the commit message as version 3. Added mint. So when you check all the version by using git log, so you can see 3 commit messages. IDs with messages. So if you want to go back and work on the version 2, you can use git checkout and the commit ID and use git revert commit ID where you will going to work on the version 2. If you want to go and work on the version 2, So next thing I'll discuss about. So let's show you how to create a GitHub account. So you need to enter your email and sign up for the GitHub. So then you need to enter the username which will be displayed in the profile. So then you need to enter the password. So it will create account. So you need to also install Git. So Git for Windows. So you need to select Windows and select x64 setup, standalone setup. So after installing Git, you can install Git Bash also. Git Bash for Windows 11. So both it will be installed if you once you install Git also. So once you install Git and Git Bash, and GitHub, so you will create a repository. So here create a new repository. Name it as test repo 1. Description also same. Test repo 1. You can type any description. So select public, or if it is it should anyone can on the internet can see this repository. If it is private, like mainly the company's website will be running, then create a repository. So after creating the repository, this is a command line. It's a quick setup to link the Git and the GitHub local repository with the remote repository. So I will also name this as test1 folder, and I create a sample file, sample1 text file. And I open this in the VS Code. So there is a terminal. You need to select new terminal. I have installed git bash. I will select git bash here. So when you type git init, you will notice a change. The working directory is created here. When I open the folder, you can see .git folder is created. You can see git status. So there is a file which is not staged like sample1.txt. So if you want to add to the working directory or a staging directory, git add and dot shows all the files in the folder. And if you want to check git status, so you can notice here is a red color and here is a green color, which means the file is added to the staging directory. Now, if you add git commit -m added sample file and press enter. So it has created a commit ID. Git status. So on branch master, nothing to commit. So right now it is in a master branch. So git branch. So it shows master, but my repository, so it should be in a git main branch. So right now it is in master. I need to change to the main branch. So -m means it rewrites to the main branch. Again, if you do git branch, so right now it is in a main branch, converted from master to the main branch. So you need to add a remote origin so that it creates, synchronizes the local with the remote repository. Then if I want to push to the remote repository, git push -u origin main. So the file is pushed from local repository to the remote repository. So you can check here, the sample1.txt is in the remote repository. It is pushed from local to the remote repository. So next we will discuss about git hash. you can see what is git hash means. So here is a commit ID. This is hash, we call it as. So we'll discuss about git reset. So why do we use git reset means? So whenever a developer, so he pushes the file to the staging area and he wants that file back. So he use git reset to reset that file to the unstaged area. Changing from staged directory to unstaged. So we use git reset for that purpose. So why we use git commit means, so it creates a snapshot in these staged changes. It creates a snapshot in the it creates snapshot of changed files or code. So if one file is, so this is a file, file 1, so it has 20 MB, let's say. And file 2 has 30 MB. So when you commit these messages, so it only saves the 10 MB. The difference is 10 MB. Like that, it only saves the change of the file. So only the changes are saved as a snapshot in the git commit. The next is git push. So what does this does is sends the commit to the GitHub, the remote repository. So whatever the saved work we have developed in our team, so it will push to the remote repository. Saved file to remote repository. What does the git pull does? So it fetches and merges changes from GitHub to the local repository. First it fetches and it does both activities. Merges from GitHub to local repository. Fetch means so get the latest changes from GitHub. Merge means combines changes. So combines all of them into the local branch. So next command is git status. So what does this git status does is, so whatever the changed, whatever the staged, whatever the untracked, so it will identify like which file is staged, okay, which file or modified and not staged, and which are untracked. So what the git status does is, like it will identify which are staged, which files are modified and not staged, and which are untracked. So next command is git difference. What does this git difference means? So it will differentiate what changes we have done from one file to the another, the second file. It shows added files which are added, and which shows removed files. So this is the difference of git difference. So do you have any questions? The chat is open. Yeah, any questions, please? So difference between git revert and git reset. So git revert means like whatever you committed the file, so that we need to revert back to the staging area. So that is git revert. So git reset means like whatever we had it for the staging area, that file we need to unstage. So that's the git reset. Yes, we will use most of the git commands daily. So for dev environment, there will be a separate repository, and production environment, there is also separate repository. So command for cloning repo is git clone and the URL of the repository. Like git clone the URL of the repository. Let's take the repository URL here itself. So here is the repository URL. So this is the repository URL. So it will clone from remote repository to the local repository. So git status means like whatever the file it will identify and notice, like file which are staged, which are modified or not staged, and which are untracked, like that. So much conflict we will discuss in the next hour. So you also need to install VS Code, which is very user friendly. So we can edit the text here itself, and we can use the terminal to update the GitHub or remote repository. Okay, let's take a break for 8 to 8:15, 15 minutes break, and come back at 8:15. Okay, let's start. So let me share my screen. So let's start about GitHub. So what is GitHub? See, GitHub is a cloud-based hosting platform that stores the repositories, the Git repositories, and it provides a collaborative environment tool. So it also facilitates CI/CD pipelines and project management features, and it also provides very good security tools. So you can also think as a social platform plus hosting service for cloud projects. So what is GitHub? So it's a cloud-based hosting platform. So it stores Git repositories, and it provides collaborative environment. Like CI, CD pipelines. So it also gives project management, and it enables security, very good security features. So let's discuss what are the core components of GitHub. So we call it as project repository. See, repository is a project folder hosted on GitHub. See, it has a code files, can store code files mainly. So you can see the commit history. We can create a branches. We can pull request. We can check the issues. We can implement CI CD pipelines. So these are the core components of GitHub repository. So when you consider issues, like what type of issues? So we can used to track bugs. We can enable future request. We can assign task. So when coming with the CI/CD implementation, so it automates the workflow of testing, building and deploying the code. So for this, we have GitHub Actions, which is integrated in GitHub. You can check here. So this is a pull request. This is the issue. So we can create a new issue, create a task. We can assign the engineers. We can see the milestones. We can see the projects, authors, labels, everything. So this is a pull request. Whenever a developer creates a new branch and he merges with he pushes the new branch to the repository. So the pull request is created and the reviewer can review the code and merges the code to the main branch. So this is the pull request. So actions is for to automate the deployment. See the project structure, security. So we have settings for collaboration and teams. So we can define roles for read, write, and admin privileges. We can set organization level permissions. We can set the security policies. So for when we define the security policies, we have a set of rules for security policies. So GitHub offers dependent bot. So this will scans and fixes vulnerabilities dependencies. So we have code scanning, which identifies security issues in the code. We have secret scanner. It detects leaked APIs or secrets. So what's the difference between private and public repository? So in public repository, it can be visible to everyone. So in private, only the allowed persons. We can make a collaborator in private repository. Can add the collaborators. Okay, next, let's implement. So let's discuss about the several commands in Git. So for setup and configuration, so we have git config. So git config global username user dot name. So you're going to define your name here. So why we use why we need to set this global config? Because so we need to set the username because the system cannot identify like who is the author. Also, we need to set git config global user dot email and your email. So this will ask in the starting of the configuration, like when you are going to push the when you are going to commit the changes in the local repository. Before that, you're going to ask this, and you need to authorize using the GitHub account to check who and all has configured. Go git config hyphen list for this is for setting and configuration. Next is so repository basics. We have git init for initializing a local repository. We have git clone for copying remote files to the local files. Remote repository files to local files. And we have git remote -v. So what does this do is we can view the remote URL. Next is for staging and committing. So firstly we have git status. And next thing is git add. We can individually select the file name. Or adding all the files in the current directory. And we have git commit -m and the message. So when you are working with the remote repository, we have git push origin and the branch name. So we have main as a main branch or a master. If there is a future branch, if developer has created a future branch like anything, so he can use git push origin future branch for pulling the code also. So this is pushing commits to GitHub. So git pull origin main means pulling changes from GitHub. Git fetch means so we can get the remote changes without merging. Get remote changes without merging. So next is branching and merging. Git branch means show branches. So git branch in the branch name. So git branch name you define. So it will create a new branch. Git checkout branch name. This will switch the branch. And the next is git merge branch name. So this will merge a branch into current branch. With the current branch. So git checkout -b and the branch name. So this will create and switch to the newly created branch. So next is undo and fixes. Fix mistakes. So git reset and the file name. So this will unstage a file. Git restore in the file name. So this will discard the changes in a file. The next is git revert. Git revert commit ID. So it will create a opposite commit, like it's a safe undo. So to view the history, we have git log, view commit history. We can simplify by git log hyphen one line, which will give the output in one line. So compact history. We have git diff to show the unstaged changes. So we have git show and the commit ID. So it will show details of commit. So what is pull request? So it's a request to merge your branch into another branch on a remote repository. So it's a request to merge your branch to another branch. Remote repository. So what is merge conflict? So it happens like when two branches have changes to the same part of the same file. So the Git version, like Git will not know which version to keep. That's why the Git merge conflict happens. So when two branches have changes to the same part of same file, where Git doesn't know which version to keep. So for example, like two developers edit the same line of the code. So let's do some practical. So to create a new branch, git checkout -b new branch one. So it will create a new branch and enter to the new branch. So git branch. So it's showing in green color, which is in a current branch. You can see here also the same file will be there. You can work on those file and merge later. So let us edit the sample1.txt. So this is the sample testing and control save. Then here git add and the file name or the whole files in the directory. So when you type git status, so it is showing modified. So let me commit git commit -m So let me updated sample1.txt with version 2. So this is just a commit message. You can type anything. Let me do git status. So it is committed. So it is committed only on new branch only. So when you type git, so let me push to the remote repository. Git push origin new branch 1. So we need to go to the GitHub. So it has created a pull request. Open and compare and pull request. So the main web developer or the manager will review the code and creates a pull request. So then merge pull request. So it is finally merged. So new branch 1 is here with the content here. So it is finally merged with the main branch. You can also see git log, whatever the history is saved here. So that's the end of practical. Do you have any questions? Please ask in the chat. So do you have any questions? Please ask. So GitHub you have installed on Windows. Like GitHub, it works very well on the browser. And Git bash you have to install. Like when you install Git, Git bash is enabled. You can also use VS Code for that. So with the code editor, it is integrated with the terminal. So CI/CD pipelines, we will explain the coming classes. Yeah, I will share the notes at the end of the all the training. GitHub is free for a student purpose, and there is also enterprise level also, that is paid version. So GitHub is free. Yes, enterprise edition is a multi-user. It's correct. So there they can create n number of private repositories. Okay, Panduranga has asked, can you show me a complete image of flow of Git? Okay. Let me share my screen. So this is a complete Git workflow. So this is a Git central repository. So these are the developers, Alex, Sam, Carlos. So they work with the application code and change and add to the staging area and commit in their local repository and then finally pushes to the remote repository. So these developers also work for the same application code. So this is the workflow. Any questions, guys? Okay, guys, let's wind up the session today.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yeah, students, I'm just sharing attendance link once again on the chat. Kindly mark your attendance. So we will wind up for the day. We'll meet again by tomorrow at 7 p.m. Thank you all for joining.